Welcome, everyone. We are on a 2-minute countdown to begin the webinar. It will begin shortly.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're just letting our few attendees roll in here. And we apologize for the late start here, just working through some technical issues. So we will get started in a moment.
Hello, Zoom, Joanne. Are you Joanne Norris?
Yeah, I am. I just got in. It just wasn't letting me in for 15,
Wonderful.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect, Joanne. I'm going to promote you to panelist, and then you are able to share your PowerPoint if you wish. You can share your screen and share your PowerPoint.
I can manage the PowerPoint on my end. Just let me know when you want me to switch slides.
Okay. All right.
You're muted.
There. Okay.
Perfect.
Just let me put on my background. Okay, we can start.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. So, hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for waiting as we work through these technical issues. My name is Carrie Morton. I'm the Director of Business Support Services with Business Link, and just want to thank you for joining us for the webinar today. At Business Link, we're honored to provide services to all entrepreneurs and specialty services to our immigrant and Indigenous entrepreneurs. We're inclusive in our cultural understanding and awareness of the histories of our country. With that, we'll start this event with a land acknowledgement to recognize all of Alberta. We want to acknowledge that in the province of Alberta, we are situated on the traditional territories of Treaties 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10, ancestral homeland of diverse First Nations groups, Métis, and Indigenous people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial and whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence our vibrant community. We pay respects to the Indigenous people of this land, past, present, and future, while recognizing their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land on which we reside. So thanks again for joining us for the webinar today. We have Joanne and Hassam from Futurpreneur to present on how Futurpreneur can support you on your entrepreneurial journey. So just a few housekeeping notes before we introduce the speakers. If you have any questions during the webinar, please put those in the Q&A, just in the meeting controls in the bottom of your screen, and you can type your question into the box there. We may also have questions or some chat throughout the presentation that we encourage you to participate in. So you can just type your answers or your questions as well into the chat box to all participants. A note that the information provided in this session is for general knowledge and should not be taken as professional advice. So it's my pleasure to welcome our presenters today, Joanne and Hassam. Please just introduce yourselves and then you can take it over. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Carrie. Do you want me to start, Hassam? Is that cool? Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I don't know if any of you are here that were in that participated in the pitch competition, but if you are, hello to those of you who I did some coaching with. That was really fun. So my name's Joanne Norris, and I've worked at Futurpreneur for 7.5 years. And I initially started with Futurpreneur to develop and run a project called Thrive North in northern BC. And it was that experience that over 6.5 years, really learning a lot about the communities, the Indigenous communities up there, the Tsimshian communities, and then in northeastern BC as well. To learn more about some of the opportunities and the challenges for more rural and remote and Indigenous entrepreneurs to launch businesses. From that experience, toward the end of 2019, Futurpreneur was able to secure some additional national funding to develop a national team to work specifically with Indigenous entrepreneurs. So, and I'm the director of that portfolio. So that's a little bit about me. If you want to change the slide.
Hey, so my name is Hussam. I'm the team lead for Alberta. So I handle the Alberta portfolio for Futurpreneur. I've been with the organization 5 years now, and it's been an awesome journey just working with entrepreneurs, helping them flush out and really move a business concept forward. Yeah, and I look forward to working with all of you in whatever capacity. Please do use the chat box for any questions. I'll be watching that. And yeah, look forward to giving you guys some good information to help you with your business. So Joe, over to you.
Thanks, Hussam. And really today, what I'm going to do in the first part here is just highlight some of the entrepreneurs, some of the Indigenous entrepreneurs that we've supported over the years. Some, that are now in quite a different place than when we worked with them in their very early stages. And that's something that's really important, is that we, as Hussam said, our sort of sweet sauce and where we help entrepreneurs is in the very early stage. So if you're either pre-launch or just launched within your first year and need some working capital. So we'll talk more about our specific supports. But here is just a message that I've learned a lot about. The future of entrepreneurship is Indigenous. I think right now is a really exciting time for young Indigenous people in Canada, because more and more entrepreneurship is being looked at as a serious career option for people. And it can be quite compelling for a lot of different reasons that can relate to actually being Indigenous as well, which I've learned about in terms of promoting Indigenous products, Indigenous values, that kind of thing. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that. Next slide, please, Hussam. And a little bit, and you can change it to the next slide. Yeah, this is just a little bit of stats, just to show you that there is data behind this sort of entrepreneurship as a significant part of Indigenous economic development in Canada. Just the upward trend of the number of Indigenous owned businesses over time. This is a little bit old data, but it's still on the uptrend. I think there's just some recent data that I haven't got on my slide yet, but significant growth rates. And in particular, Indigenous women are looking at self-employment and business ownership as a way to develop their livelihoods too. And just a hashtag, if any of you aren't aware of it, a really fabulous woman, Carol Ann Hilton, has a whole business and sort of movement around Indigenomics. So check that out if you get a chance and are curious. And it came out with her book called, I think it's Indigenomics as well. So worth a read if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Next slide, please. So this, just want to highlight Devon Fiddler. She is from Saskatchewan. We supported her back in 2014. Now she's really got quite a large, significant business. She is she's an amazing entrepreneur, and she's a role model for us as well for Futurpreneur. She is part of a role model campaign that we've developed to inspire and sort of motivate other young Indigenous folks who might be thinking about starting a business but don't really know how to do it. So I just wanted to highlight her. Next slide, please. And this fellow, Kendall Netmaker, he's also from Saskatchewan. I am going to talk about some Alberta entrepreneurs as well. I wanted to highlight him just because, for a lot of reasons, he's an amazing fellow. And we just recently collaborated with him on 2 coaching cohorts of young Indigenous people already with ideas and either very early stage or pre-launch. And he has this coaching academy that he now does, as well as his Nietzsche Gear product line. And he's really positioned himself in the global kind of international speaker and coach space. So he's a great success story. Next slide, please. So this is one of our recent Alberta entrepreneurs that we've worked with, David Plamondon. He's a great guy as well, and his business has 2 parts to it: the consulting part, and then also a whole game sort of retail part to it. And David also participated on a panel that we put of Indigenous startup stories for another event here in BC. I'm actually based in Vancouver. And, you know, my colleague, my team member, Sammy Zorb, who some of you may know, she actually used to work at Business Link as well. She supported David to submit his business plan and cash flow to Futurpreneur. And so he received a startup loan and a mentor match for 2 years, which is our core kind of offering, which we can talk more specifically about in a bit. Next slide, please. And he's based in Calgary. Last one to just highlight, to get a sense of, because I just wanted to give you a sense of the types of businesses that people are launching that we're supporting. So this is Kiera. She is also a newly supported entrepreneur. She applied for a startup loan and mentor match last fall, which she did secure, and has launched an online business in the sort of spirituality and healing product line of things called Twin Feather. Next slide, please. So I'm going to hand it over to Hussam to say a little bit more about what we do as an organization and how we do it.
Thank you, Joe. So at Futurpreneur, our essential mandate is to work with youth entrepreneurs, right? So the way we've defined youth is anybody between 18 and 39 years of age. We're a not-for-profit, so really our mandate is an economic development mandate. So just for some quick stats, we've supported over 13,000 business owners over the past few years. We've been around for the past, so this is our 25th year working with entrepreneurs. We've helped over 11,000 businesses in Canada. We've recruited over 3,000 mentors that support our organization as well through the mentoring program. And on average, each entrepreneur that we work with creates about 5 jobs in the ecosystem. So really it's about economic impact, where our focus is. Out of the businesses that we work with, about 46% of them are majority female owned businesses. So some of them may be in partnership with a male, but they're majority owned by a female. And we've got this really cool tool, which is a business plan writing tool that supports through the business planning process. And it's helped 120,000 people develop a business plan and cash flow. So I'm just going to move to the next slide. So I'll just give you a quick overview on, actually, Joe, you could take this slide.
Sure. And so just, I wanted to put some faces to the team. So Sammy is the Indigenous Business Development Manager to serve Indigenous entrepreneurs, or Business Development Manager for Indigenous entrepreneurs for Alberta and BC. And she is, most of her time, she's based out of Edmonton. And Justin Holness is our team member who's based in Ottawa, and he serves Ontario eastward. And Noah Wilson is based in Winnipeg, and he serves Manitoba and Saskatchewan. And I kind of the territories folks. So that's the Indigenous team. And just, I wanted to say a little bit just about all of our Indigenous entrepreneurs are eligible and apply for our core startup program, which is if you're launching a business full-time, or our side hustle program. But in addition to our core offerings, we also are doing some special work specific to our Indigenous entrepreneurs and partners. So our key partnership we have is with the National Aboriginal Capital Corporation Association and all of the Aboriginal lenders that are members of their association. So we work with the individual AFIs across the country. Two in Alberta that we work with are the Indian Business Corporation that's based at Calgary, and AIIC. And I'm just forgetting the full name, which is terrible right now.
Alberta Indigenous, Alberta Indian Investment Corporation.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Hussam. And so I just wanted to highlight that. And then Hussam mentioned that our business plan writer tool, which is a really handy tool to help you write your business plan. We also just made some modifications to that tool over the past year to make the navigation more specific in terms of if you are Indigenous and what profile of Indigenous you are and where you're based, as well as reflecting some Indigenous businesses in the tool. And one of our Indigenous advisors, young business owner, her name is Destiny. She has a salon in Regina. She actually did some little videos telling and that we embedded in the tool to show people like how she did market research, or how she did her pricing, just little nuggets of learning. And then I mentioned we are doing this dedicated role model campaign that Devin Fiddler is part of. That's also something specific to the Indigenous work we're doing. Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that. Next slide. Yeah, so over to you, Hussam.
So now I'll go over some of the specifics around the program. So we run 4 different programs in Cumulation. So there's the core program, there's the Indigenous specific program, then we've just recently launched the Black Entrepreneur program, which is specifically for people that identify as Black, and there's specific supports there. And then the 4th program that we run is called the Side Hustle program. So majority of them follow the same eligibility criteria. So the age that you have to be in order to access the program is between 18 and 39 years of age. You need to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. If you're a student, you need to be in your final year of study, past the research and development stage as well. So if you're developing some sort of an app or some sort of concept that's new or novel, so it could be a technology or something like that, in order for you to be able to access the Futurpreneur program, you have to have a minimum viable product in place. So what that means is something tangible that you can show us. If it's an app, we need to be able to see the app itself. We don't fund the development cycle. We don't develop the we don't fund the development cycle of the app itself, but we fund the go-to-market strategy. So when you're taking that app to market, we're able to play there. Also, prerequisite is to complete a business plan and cash flow projections. This may seem daunting to some of you, but we support in that process. And I know Business Link does too. We work with Business Link staff as well on a lot of the business planning components. So, there's lots of support out there to complete these documents. one of the ways, and I know Business Link also has a business plan writer, so really you could pick any one and start the process of writing the business plan. And what we would do is we would help support by doing assessments, giving you feedback. It's very ad hoc support, so it's not like a course necessarily that you would go through. You access us where and when you need the help. Also, one of the other criteria is you have to be in business under 1 year of full-time operations. So the way we're looking at that is you essentially put full-time hours into the business and are generating revenue from that business. That time can't exceed more than 1 year. Also, the other prerequisite is that you're willing to work with a mentor for a period of 2 years. All right, so the startup program, So the startup program gives you access to up to $60,000. 20,000 comes from the BDC, 20,000 from Futurpreneur, 40,000 from the BDC. When you're accessing the Black Entrepreneur program, it's actually 20,000 from Futurpreneur and 40,000 from RBC. And so that's sort of a difference, but it's more of a back-end difference. The application process, eligibility, all of that looks the same. We're a character-based lender, so what we're looking at is a combination of a number of factors to form our assessment. So we take into consideration viability of the business, so whether the business is going to make money, and your cash flow projections, as well as credit score, and your personal experience in getting this business off the ground. Our interest rates are set, except when prime changes. They sit at 6.2%. So that's another difference between us and the banks, is that once you come to us, you know the interest rate you're going to get, whereas a bank will do an assessment and then give you an interest rate based on that assessment. So there's a fluctuation there. The term that the loan is set for is a 5-year repayment schedule. First year is structured as interest-only payments, so it's sort of a grace period for you to start to generate revenue in the business and start paying us back in year 2. And then, of course, the mentoring. The mentoring is really there for you. It's there to address a skill set gap in your business. So, you're starting a business in whatever it is that you're starting, but there might be a skill set gap there. So, it might be something like finance, or supply chain management, or marketing, or business development, or one of these key areas in the business that are going to be integral in you moving the business forward, but it's an area you're weak in. And that's what we would use to address through the mentoring program. So the mentor is a guide on the side. They're giving you advice along the way, but they're not taking homework away from the business. So if, let's say, you get matched up with somebody who's got a finance background, they're not going to do your taxes or your accounting for you, but what they will do is give you strategic advice on how to best do those things. So I'll sort of just give you a brief overview of some of the terms of the loan. So like I said, 20,000 comes from Futurpreneur, 40,000 from the BDC. They're matching the amount that we're giving you. So it's a match and double is how it works. In order to access the full 60K, you have to show 10% personal investment for the 40,000 that BDC is providing. So a 10% investment is $4,000 of you personally investing money in order to leverage 60,000. If you're just accessing 20,000 from Futurpreneur, you have to show 0 personal investment. So you could have $0 to contribute towards the business. Through a program, you can still access 20,000 towards the business. So that's actually, it's not typically seen in the banking space, where you're able to access money by putting up 0 money to start a business. And that's really what's different about our program. Yeah.
I see, Hussam, I just saw a couple of questions that are relevant to what you're saying, but I couldn't answer them it was in the Q&A, not the chat. So how long do approvals take?
Oh, sorry, I must have missed that question. Sorry,
That's
thanks.
okay. No, I can monitor it while you're talking.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So the approval process, so once your business plan and cash flow is completed, it takes about a week for the pre-approval to happen. So you submit your application. In a week, you'll know how much you can get approved for and what conditions there might be on the loan. Each business has different conditions. So it might be provide proof of articles of incorporation. Maybe you've purchased or we're giving you the money. So we might need to see a receipt for that equipment. If there's a lease involved, we'll need to see a lease agreement. Another condition might be something like, registration for the business. So we would need to see registration documentation. So these are different types of proofs. Each business is different. So there might be a different amount of proofs and conditions on the loan. Once those conditions are completed, we're then moving to the mentor matching stage, where we're matching you up with that mentor to address the skill set gap. And then we're dispersing the money into your account. So from start to finish, from when you submit the application to the time that the money shows up in your account, you're looking at anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks, give or take.
Mm-hmm. And that really does depend a lot on, some people will submit a business plan, that has one paragraph in it, and maybe a cash flow. So it really depends on the quality of the app, of what's submitted and how responsive the entrepreneur is, as well as on our side too. But I would say, many are much less than 8 weeks. Yeah. They're the ones that are most responsive. I would say, 4 to 6 weeks is very feasible. But it can take 8 weeks or more if just regarding the back and forth on an individual case.
Yeah, and that's why it's really important to talk to somebody on our team, right? To make sure we're guiding you through the process, because if you sort of go in and just hit the submit button, you don't know whether you've sort of met all the requirements. And also there's a credit check involved. So really once you get hit with that credit check, depending on how many credit checks you've had over a year, it could start reducing your credit score. And so that's why it's really important to get in touch with one of us before you start the application process, so we can let you know where the gaps are.
Mm-hmm. Another good question by the same person, Sitsi, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Does the mentorship change as needed, or is it the same person throughout?
Yeah, so typically what we're addressing through the mentoring program is really that 1 or 2 main pieces of the business that you're going to long-term need support with, right? And that's what we're doing through the mentoring program. So it would be 1 mentor per business. Let's say the needs do change or the mentoring relationship breaks down, that's a different story. In those types of cases, you can get in touch with us and we'll find a solution at that point. Mm-hmm. But typically for most clients, it's the same mentor for the 2 years. And really the mentors that we have, they have a lot of entrepreneurship experience, or they're very well versed or experts in their field. So they have a lot to contribute to the business.
Okay. Carrie, you say you want to answer this question, the other question live? I don't.
Oh, sorry, that was just for you all to hopefully answer that one live.
Oh yeah, okay. Another great question from Hamed. Can I access a mentor without financing?
Good question. So the way the funding works, right, is we're providing money that's structured as non-collateral. So I'll cover the definition of non-collateral for anybody that might not know. So typically, let's say, you go to a bank for a conventional loan for, let's say, a home or a car or something like that. The way that loan works is they're giving you money in exchange for first rights on a particular asset. So that asset might be the home or the vehicle. So in the case that you're not able to pay back the loan, that bank has the ability to repossess that asset. The way our program works is we're a non-collateral lender. So we're not taking any assets when we're providing a loan. And so that mentoring is how we're mitigating risk. It's how we're reducing the risk for us to lend. So we're providing some expertise into your business so that your business has a higher likelihood of success. So given that, you do have to access funding in order to access the mentoring program, but you could access any amount you want. So the minimum that you could access is $5,000 up to $60,000. Whatever amount you access, you get the 5 years, the 2 years of mentoring. Sorry, you get the 2 years of mentoring. So let's say you didn't need the money at that point without penalty, and that accounts for the first 20,000 that we're providing. But there's one thing to keep in mind is that what you can only access our program once in the lifetime of your business. So let's say you were to access us for 5K or 10K or a smaller amount, you could have potentially qualified for 60, but once you've received the funds in your account, you can't come back to us for any more funds. So
except the best program has different.
Yes, that's right.
So
yes,
don't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is options.
Yeah, so the best program is the only route where you can access a re-up in your second and third year. So you can access another 40K. But for like majority of the program components, it's one-time funding.
There was another just on the mentor not tied to financing. Someone else put something in the chat. There are other, maybe Business Link knows of mentor only programs for Alberta. I know of a few Indigenous women specific sort of mentor circles. If people want to reach out to me, I can send them information on that. But there's one called Lift. If you're an Indigenous woman entrepreneur, I would think there would be other specific ones. I know Women Entrepreneurship Center. I know they have one in Alberta. The one in BC is Women's Enterprise Center. They have some mentor circle, I think, stuff that isn't tied to financing, but you'd have to. Our mentorship is tied to our financing, and as Hussam said, it's a risk sort of management for Futurpreneur in terms of like we have non-collateralized loans and all that. But it's more than that. It's very much to help the entrepreneur, as you know, guide them through a very challenging time starting a business and the startup business cycle. As I liked what you said, Hussam, you said as a guide who's there or something, like someone that you can call when you don't know what to do about something, a sounding board. That's super important to have when you're starting a business. So we bake it into our offering because of that.
And Carrie just put on the chat that Business Link actually runs a Futurpreneur program, which you can have a look at. There's a link in there too. One thing that I did want to mention on the immigrant entrepreneur side is like we have immigrant mentors as well that sort of understand the challenges that you sort of go through as an immigrant entrepreneur. Our adjudicative process, so the way we assess an application for somebody who is newer to Canada is different as well. So it's not the way sort of banks might look at a file. We typically we're able to work with clients that have no credit, right, or very little credit on their account. Yeah, so just sort of wanted to put that out there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to move to the next slide. So just the side hustle program, I'll go over that really quickly. So the side hustle program is for those of you that may have a side business. You have a full-time job or you have household income, but you're looking at starting up a side business. So we're able to provide up to $15,000 for a side hustle business. It's again character-based. The interest rate is also the same. It's at 6.2%, so it's broken down as prime plus 3.75. It's a 3-year repayment schedule instead of the 5-year for the other programs, and it's based on your personal or household disposable income. So we look at your income or your household's income and whether you're able to, make payments back to Futurpreneur based on that income that you're already generating. So we're not looking at your business's ability to generate income. And then, of course, there's the 2 years of mentoring attached to that as well. All right, so this entrepreneur is based out of Toronto. So the way our program works is we can't typically talk about the businesses that we fund unless they talk about us first. So, it's like holding a mortgage, right? We can't tell you who businesses around town that you might visit that we have funded. We fund anywhere between 70 and 100 businesses in Alberta every year. So this one is based out of Toronto. So I'll just talk about them a little bit. So she came to us 2 years after her first visit to Canada. She left her hometown, Brazil, for a new opportunity in Toronto with her husband, her dog, and a business plan in tow. So Mary moved to Toronto. Her vision was to bring the taste of culture from her city to Toronto. And so today, Mary's Bigardeo is one of Toronto's most must-try places on Danforth. And what they are is like little chocolates that are really awesome. So you can watch a video of her as well once we share the slides with you. I see that there's another question from Sue.
Is there?
Oh.
No, it was a Smart Start, which is great. This is a mentor.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not a question per se.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So how to register for Futurpreneur. So you can actually hop directly onto our website. It's www.futurpreneur.ca. Joe, would you be able to put a link in the chat box, please? Or the website? And so you hop on there and there's a whole bunch of resources on there. There's obviously the business planning resources that I talked about. There's also marketing toolkits and all this other stuff that you can access. And then, of course, there's the application process and stuff that's broken down there. Also, I don't think we'll have a whole bunch of time to cover specific eligibility for different types of businesses, but typically most businesses are eligible for a program. There's just certain types of businesses that might not be. So something in the finance space, for example, would not be eligible for a program. Anything in the controlled substances space, so alcohol, marijuana, tobacco, there's some gray area with alcohol sales, but tobacco, marijuana are out. We don't support those types of businesses. Anything in the investment space, we won't support. Insurance, those are some of the areas that we don't support, but everything else is pretty much game. So if you've got, a restaurant, or you're developing some sort of an app or an IoT device, or, a retail space or an online retail, like you can think of pretty much any business and it's likely eligible. There's just a few industries that might not be. So if you feel that you're in one of those industries that are ineligible, make sure you speak to us and we can sort of give you an idea of whether access is possible or not.
I just wanted to say one thing too, just to clarify. I put the link to how to register in the chat, but so you can for our tools for the Business Resource Center and for accessing that business plan writer tool that Hussam and I were mentioning, that's a separate registration. So anybody, regardless of age or stage of business plan or whatever, can access all of our tools for free. You just have to register, and just what that means, just put an email and a password so that you can then use those tools. There's also a really good cash flow planning template, which our team, so Hussam and I, we're part of the business development team, which is the team that goes out and connects with the entrepreneurs and tells them about what we do and how we do it. And it's important to get connected on in our system, and then you will get to one of our team members, and that's where you can develop a relationship and find out, okay, what tools should I use? How, like, what we can help you navigate our application process and help you apply. That's a big sort of differentiating factor of Futurpreneur, let's say, compared to a bank or a credit union. They just don't have that sort of capability and our capacity to do that one-on-one coaching that's a big part of our program. And we also have the entrepreneurs in residence that give you outside of Hussam and myself and our teams.
Yeah.
So that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the entrepreneur residence that Joe's talking about. That program is the only one that sort of has some structure, like a course-based program. So it's a 3-day course over 3 weeks. One's called Rock My Business Idea, the other one's called Rock My Business Plan, and the third one's called Rock My Business Cash Flow. So they take you through those stages of developing those documents. And really the first one's more of an ideation type of a session where it teaches you how to take your idea that you might have and actually turn it into a business, and how to move it forward over time rather than just it sort of remain an idea. And that's typically a problem that a lot of entrepreneurs face is, you know, they get this idea, they might not know where to start or how to move it forward, or it seems like it's too big an idea to actually start. But really, you can find ways of creating incremental steps in order to move that concept forward. So really that session breaks down how to take this concept that you have and turn it into mission statements of things that you can achieve one day at a time to get you to that big end goal that you're looking at getting to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'll put a link in there for those workshops as well. Yeah, that was pretty much it for the presentation. We'll go to Q&A next. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and we're happy to answer them for you.
Or is there a way to let people, so we can see people, Carrie?
We don't have the ability to see people, but definitely if folks have any comments or questions, they can put them in the chat if that's easier as well for folks. So feel free, people can just use the chat or the Q&A there. But yes, thank you so much to both of you for doing that presentation for us today. I learned a lot, actually. I wasn't aware that for the 20,000 of financing, you didn't necessarily need to have any money in yourself for your business. So that's really great. And I think for a lot of businesses, 20,000 is a good amount. So definitely folks can take advantage of that. Yeah. Great. So we'll just leave a minute or two here. We can see if any other questions come in. Perhaps, Hussam, I don't know if you're able to share, or if either of you want to share your contact details in the chat as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Holly had a question. What were the 3 course-based programs Hussam mentioned?
I shared it in a private chat. I'm just going to put it into the general.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Here's a link to those 3 sessions. Sorry, what was the question, Carrie? Apologies.
Just if you want to put your contact details in the chat as well, we can put that out there for everybody so they can contact you both if they need to. Definitely, if any other questions come up, please just pop those in the chat. But for now, I will just say thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar. Also, thank you to Joanne and Hussam for presenting today. If you would like to contact us at BusinessLink, you can email us, askus@businesslink.ca, or you can call 1-800-272-9675. We give one-on-one advice. We also have our newsletter that you can sign up for. You can connect with us on social media, chat with us online, view our recorded webinars. We will be posting a recording of this webinar as well. We'll send a follow-up email to all of you that are here today. And you can just stay informed as well about our upcoming events and webinars, all on our website, just at businesslink.ca. So you will receive a follow-up email following the webinar here with a link to an online survey. And if you just have a few minutes to complete that, we really do appreciate that. It'll take less than 5 minutes for any feedback you have for us.
I actually have one other thing I didn't
Yes.
mention, if you don't mind. Sorry, Carrie, just
No,
before
go ahead.
people drop off. We are doing, today is the first, this afternoon. So this session, it's pretty short notice, but then we're doing another session on Monday called Launching My Indigenous Startup. So it's training, it's free, it's, we're targeting, our demographic and that age group within the Indigenous community, but it's open to everybody. I'll post the link here. It's training to, again, just more training around how to really determine the viability of your business idea and the key components of a cash flow template, that how it would need to look to apply to financing our program or others. So I'll just get the link and put it in the chat.
I just wanted to answer Hamit's question. So you're asking if you've missed the resources for immigrants. So our program is open to everybody. The support that we offer on the financing side is actually on the back end. It's how we're assessing somebody who is an immigrant. So when you apply to the program, we're making concessions on some of the challenges that immigrants might face as they're starting a business, and one of them is around credit scores, right? And not having enough of a credit history in order to access the financing. And so we're able to provide financing at an earlier stage than majority of banks would be. Also, our teams are really diverse, so we actually have a number of languages that we speak. So if you're sort of looking for support in another language, get in touch with us and we can help you there. We can also connect you to agencies that will actually provide translation services as well.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Hassam, for that. Okay. Thank you both again for taking the time today to talk to folks about how they can get support from Futurpreneur. It's great programs, especially with the mentoring. It's really great for businesses to receive that along with the financing. So folks, please just reach out to Hassam, Joanne, us at Business Link if you have any follow-up questions. And we will say goodbye for today, but we hope to see you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.